So, Namaskar, Suswagatam. Welcome everyone. Good morning. Here we are once again, and I'm Dhargalkar, welcoming you here on Microsoft Teams and YouTube Live. And it really makes me immensely happy to do this because attending such an academic event fortnight after fortnight with interest is not a small feat. This is the eighth webinar in our series of successful redevelopment and is titled Construction Phase Part 2. And in this, we will cover tracking, documentation, review, and reports pertaining to the construction phase. There is one new feature we have added to the website, which we have already announced on our WhatsApp group. But those who are not on the WhatsApp group, for their information, I'm sharing this. This is short notes. It's like a guide we used to refer to on the day of the exam. Even after attending the webinars or watching the videos, when you actually come across a problem or a particular situation, sometimes it's difficult to navigate through the website or it's time consuming. That's why we have come up with short notes to make it simpler for you. So when you click on a particular phase, there are 5 phases, and then you click on the tab roadmap, there is a drop down in which there are short notes pertaining to that particular phase. All these short notes are also available in the help section. So please check it out and give your feedback so that we'll keep adding more and more such new features. Good documentation is like a good map. It helps you navigate complex terrain and reach destination on time. We all know how complex the redevelopment project can get. It's such a complex terrain, and timely delivery is most crucial. That's why documentation is of such an immense importance. And our today's speaker will help us understand why this documentation, which are the documents which are important and why it is so important. Before that, uh, as usual, I'll quickly go through the steps taken by Technoesis in this field. We have this WhatsApp group which has more than 460, in fact, more than 470 members today. And every day we are adding more and more members. So if you have not yet joined, please join. Then we have this YouTube channel by the same name, Technoesis Redevelopment Help, on which we are live right now. And all our previous videos are available on this channel. So please do visit the channel, like, subscribe, and press the bell icon also so that you'll get notification. Then, of course, we have the website about which we have been talking in the every webinar, www.redevelopment.info. Then we have this webinar series of successful redevelopment. We have already completed 7 webinars. Today is the 8th one, and soon we will announce the ninth webinar in this series. Let's quickly go through all these 7 webinars which we have conducted so far. The first one was the overview of redevelopment. It was just an introductory session, and then we started phase wise. So like I said earlier, there are 5 phases and some of the phases have multiple stages. So we started with phase 1, stage 1, which was initiating project and appointing PMC. Phase 1, stage 2, feasibility study and report. Then we came to phase 2, stage 1, tendering for redevelopment. Next was phase 2, stage 2, selecting a developer. Then phase 3, which was pre-construction phase. And the last and the seventh one was phase 4, construction phase, part 1, in which we covered project management teams, systems, references, developers, PMCs, and societies' functions, monitoring progress, quality, safety, insurance, all these aspects. Now, actually, this phase has no second stage, but then, like construction phase has only one stage. But then there are many documents, and these documents are very important. And that's why we decided to have one special session only for the documentation. So here we are going to look at, like I mentioned earlier, the tracking, documentation, review, reporting pertaining to the construction phase. And as we all know, Technosis is as strong in documentation as in technical aspects. So let's hear it from Director Technosis, Mr. Umesh Dhargalkar. But before that, let me take a minute to introduce him. B.Tech Civil and M.Tech Structural from a prestigious institution like IIT Bombay, 40 years of experience in structural and civil engineering, particularly in buildings, 18 years of experience in handling redevelopment project, 15 years of experience in imparting training, conducting seminars, webinars, public seminars. The list is pretty long, and it makes him an authority on this subject. Mr. Dhargalkar is a recipient of two national level awards, one as an innovator and another as a trainer in construction industry. Also recipient of CREDAI MCHI Ratna Award as Master in Redevelopment. Quite impressive, right? Okay, so over to Mr. Umesh Dhargalkar.
Yeah, namaskar and good morning. Um, on this 8th webinar, let me begin by a personal story. It was in 2010, where in which we were appointed for a project um, which was actually ongoing. The piles were cast, pile caps were cast, plinth was ready. In fact, the plinth area was also being used for stacking materials and all. And the first slab was getting ready. Okay, so much work was already done, and the client, the society wanted that the earlier PMC was not, they were planning to change that PMC, and we came aboard. So when we were appointed, we started at the stage of the first slab, and before taking over, we wrote to the society saying that we would like to have all the documentation that has gone into this project until now. Okay, because the piles have been done, pile testing must have been done. I mean, a lot of work has already happened. If you ask me about more than 1 year's work had already happened. तो वो एक साल में जो जो कुछ हुआ about in this project, which drawings were used, okay, which tests were conducted, the minutes of the meeting, आपकी meeting जितनी हुई होगी, site visit reports, your monthly reports, all that documentation we'd like to have as a proper handover system so that we can take over from there and continue our work. Now we waited for a week, nothing came. We waited for another week, nothing came. So finally, we had a meeting with the society and we asked them, and they looked surprised. बोला ये कौन सा डॉक्यूमेंटेशन आप मांग रहे हैं? बिल्डिंग तो सामने मतलब यहाँ तक खड़ी हो गई, अभी तो पहला स्लैब करने की. So what documentation are you asking for? Then I had to explain to them what I mean by documentation is whatever has happened till now, उसका कुछ तो रिकॉर्ड होना चाहिए ना, क्योंकि आप तो अभी 1 साल हो गया. Maybe this project will take another 2 to 3 years. Now, in such a long period of time, how the building was constructed, which drawings were used, what tests were conducted, everything, how the project was reviewed, whatever, all those reports, whenever the structural consultant or the architect came for visits, what kind of certifications they gave you. ये सब हम मांग रहे. And they said, we never got anything like that. Then I asked them, how many meetings did you have so far in a period of something like more than a year. वो बोलते हैं 2 ही मीटिंग हो गई, वो भी हमने मांगी. Okay, and how many reports have you got from your PMC? The answer was 0. So then we took it from there only, and then he said, fine, if you don't have, right, we don't have that the previous data, but henceforth we are going to have this system that we will have an engineer at the site who will be collecting data every day the way we want it. Then we will be having one project coordinator who will be visiting this site every week, a senior project coordinator, taking stock of how the project is going, how the construction is going. Then we'll be having one progress review meeting every month, wherein all the contractual and construction related matters will be discussed. And we will submit to you one comprehensive report every month. ये सब हम लोग करने वाले हैं क्योंकि हमारे ऑफिस का ये सिस्टम है. So friends, what I'm trying to tell you is that it's not uncommon to come across situations like this, wherein construction ho gaya, which ho gaya, but there's not much of documentation in the record. Second, I will not say my personal experience, but I was talking to one very renowned arbitrator, someone who has represented arbitration cases, international arbitration, for international arbitrators in India. So when fighting for a case, when there are claims from each side, and someone has to see through what actually happened, and whether a particular claim is tenable, to what extent, they always look for evidence. And that person, a very reputed arbitrator, what he told me that India में हमारा problem ऐसा है कि कोई record मिलता नहीं है. So it's when the project goes into dispute and you land in court or in arbitration cases, sometimes an international arbitration for a project in India, which sometimes happens in Singapore or New York, such places where it's very expensive. And सब कुछ है, मतलब the arbitrator was telling me, I know my client that उसने सही काम किया, I know it, but I don't have anything to prove. मेरे पास कोई record ही नहीं. Because when the project happened, okay, all through the course of the project, there was hardly any record created. थोड़ा मिला है, it's very difficult to use that to conclusively prove his case. So these are the situations which are not very uncommon. And with that, let me make a beginning for this webinar number 8, which, as Uma just said, actually in every webinar, I would like to put the webinar first in the time frame system. Okay, so as you can see here, we are still at phase 4. In our last webinar also, we were at phase 4 only, which means that we have already spent for phase 1, 2, and 3 2 years or more in formulating the project, right? And after the project has been formulated, after you have vacated, after all this legal documentation has been done, and now you are starting the construction of the project. Now, construction is an activity which builds over a period of time. आज आपने कुछ किया, उसके ऊपर दूसरा कर रहे, उसके ऊपर तीसरा कर रहे. That's how the building comes up. Okay, so when that happens, we have seen in last webinar, what we saw there was actually the actionable points. Construction कैसा होता है. We saw, I would say, the logistics of construction. We saw the action points of construction. We saw how the coordination is to be done. We saw how the quality control has to be looked into. We saw that how the 3 teams, the developer, the PMC, and the society, have to play the game of construction for the building to come up. ये सब action वाली बात हो गई. Okay, and when all this is happening, okay, what is important is that a documentation also has to keep pace with the construction. Okay, now that is the aspect. of the same construction phase, which we are going to discuss today. So we are not going to discuss the action points which we covered in our last webinar. But in this, what we are going to cover are the actionable, I mean um, the documentation part. Now let me yeah. So exactly what are we going to cover in this webinar? Okay. First is daily data capture. A lot of things happen daily on the site. So typically, the way we at Technoesis provide our services in the during the construction phase, we have our site engineer who's permanently stationed at the site, okay, who is there throughout the day. So what it does is that he captures data which is happening at the site, the construction related data in our own system. So we will see how that is done. Now this happens daily. Okay, it's pure data capture. कहाँ क्या क्या हो रहा है? And of course, in a very, I would say, structured manner, and that data is collected in standard forms. Second is, this was daily. So second type of documentation is when our project coordinator visits the site once a week. So when he visits there, he sits with our site engineer. He also sits with the developer's representative, especially someone who is aware of the happenings at the site. Okay. So in that visit, what our project coordinator does is that he first checks the data which has been captured by the site engineer last week or since his last visit. Okay. Then he tries to relate it with the expected construction, the contractual, way of in which the building is being constructed. And based on that, now he is the one who is actually now going to make sense of the data which has already been captured in relation to how the construction is happening. Okay, and we always have a practice in our office that whenever our representative from our office goes to our sites, वो कोई भी होने दो, वो डायरेक्टर होने दो या वो प्रोजेक्ट कोऑर्डिनेटर होने दो, whenever a visit is being made, he is required to prepare a site visit report. Now, what he should look in those site visits? There is our checklist. That checklist, what I'm talking about, or daily data capture, all these things are available on our website, www.redevelopment.info. Okay, so he has a particular checklist about what he should see in terms of quality, in terms of progress, in terms of defects which have been brought to his notice and things like that. So that's the second part, which is a weekly site visit report. Then we have to now this weekly site visit is pertaining to mainly the construction aspect. But in redevelopment, in addition to the construction aspect, there's a contractual aspect. Okay. For that, what we have is that we organize monthly project review meeting. Okay. Monthly project review meeting, wherein we expect people, the senior people from the developer's office, from PNC's office, and from the society to come and participate. ये मीटिंग सबकी कन्वीनियंस के एंगल से रखी जाती है, because the representation from all three parties is extremely important for this meeting. Okay, this is called a project review meeting, and in that meeting, okay, it's not that means there are people who are from the side, they also become part of that meeting, but more than that, we invite senior people from respective offices so that they are in a position to see the project from the contractual angle as well, not just the construction angle. Side के लोगों का क्या होता है, their main focus is construction, whereas the focus has to be focused in addition to construction. There has to be some aspect about the contract management also. So with that in mind, we expect that the senior representation is done from the respective offices also. All right. Then what we also do is that we submit a monthly project review report, we call it PRR, to our client. No matter whether my project is say 700 square meters plot or a seven or say 18,000 square meter plot, regardless of the size of the plot. This is one thing which we always do for our projects, that submission of the monthly project review report to our client. And this is the system which we follow in our office. And we have found from our experience for the last 15 years that this really gives us good documentation and tells you a lot about the project as and when it is taking shape, as well as when the project is completed. Then in this webinar, we'll also see what quality assurance and project progress tracking means. We partly covered this in our last webinar, but I will just touch upon it once again to explain to you that quality is a process. It is not just one event. It happens over a process. It happens over a period of time. And progress tracking is something which we have not discussed so far, so we'll be discussing in this webinar. And then I will show you, if time permits, the demos of the site visit reports. Okay, point number 3, when we conduct the monthly progress review meeting, we also prepare the minutes of the meeting, which also become a record and documentation. So if time permits, I'll show you a demo of site visit report, minutes of meeting, and the progress review report, which is monthly. And if time further permits, then I will also show you a project tracker. You see, tracking has two aspects. One is tracking of the project professionally among the developer team, the PMC team, and the society's managing committee. But okay, but if you want the project tracker or if you want the project to be seen, and if you want even a society member to track the project in a limited sense, So when your project goes for construction, your people will be spending, your members will be staying in rental flats anywhere in the world. Okay. So if you want to give them a facility to track their project in a limited way, so that they are in a position to understand ki kya kya ho raha hai, not the intricacies, but perhaps the overview. Okay. Then for that, at Technoesis, we have a project tracker system. If the time permits, I will give you a demo of that. So now let's understand when we talk about documentation, tracking, and review. Okay, I'll just tell you there's a shade of difference between tracking and review. Documentation means creating documents, creating record. Tracking means keep regularly tracking the events of the project, especially the progress. And review means a snapshot review at any stage. The difference between tracking and review is only this. Tracking is regular, periodical, maybe every week, like what we do in our site visits, what our project coordinator does. Whereas review is not that frequent. Review is taken at, I will say, at a longer duration of the time. Okay. So otherwise, tracking and review, the difference is only not much. It's only a shade of difference. So before now, why documentation? हमको पता है कि in all our approach, I always say I'm a patriotic person. Okay, but there are certain things which happen in our construction project in India which are unprofessional. हमारे साइड पे कभी भी जाइए आप तो हो जाता है, if some instruction is given, okay, the answer is हो जाएगा, करा देंगे, आप चिंता मत करो. Okay, and in some cases कुछ तो जुगाड़ करा देंगे, करके हम लोग खत्म करें. So the assurance is about the final thing. हो जाएगा, करा देंगे. Now how हो जाएगा, कैसे करा देंगे, उसका क्या होता है? This is something which we find that is very different. That is why even the graduates even the engineers who graduate from engineering colleges, and even I have come across some middle management people also. They are good at doing things, but they are not so good at documenting them. Okay, so why documentation is required? Number one, it first of all, it gives you a true picture of what is happening. It gives you a better understanding of the project. Okay, for example, हो गया आपका slab, आपका slab हो गया, दूसरा slab हो गया, तीसरा slab हो गया, everything. So when your building is progressing, what has happened in the past is not there in front of you. It has gone past in time, but it has to be there somewhere as a form of documentation or record. So good documentation gives us true picture or better understanding of the project, not just what is happening now, but what has happened in the past and what is supposed to happen in the future. So that better understanding gives us a finer control and for timely rectification of quality, or say if you are talking about quality, then rectification. If you are talking about losing time, then how to bring the project back to its schedule. So it's only if we have a proper understanding, then we are in a position to correct our course. Third is that the system itself creates a demand for discipline. Sometimes people ask me, how to get the quality? So उनको मैं बोलता हूँ ना, there are two. I can answer your question in two ways. One is I can, like an engineer, I can give you a 7 or 8 step process कि कैसे क्वालिटी बनती है, और आपको मैं उसका स्लाइड दिखाने वाला भी हूँ. That's a technically correct answer. Okay. लेकिन ये आंसर सब आपको बोलेंगे, सब स्टेप मेरे को मालूम है. ऐसा नहीं है कि इसको मालूम नहीं है. But still the quality doesn't come. Why? Because there is no demand. So when people ask me क्वालिटी कैसे लाना है, तो एक तो मैं उनको बोलता हूँ कि ये 7-8 स्टेज का प्रोसेस है, विच इज टेक्निकली करेक्ट. सेकंड पार्ट, ओके, इज सिंपल. डिमांड क्वालिटी प्रोसेस भी सब ठीक है, वो अपने आप आ जाएगा. डिमांड छोड़ो मत. सो वंस यू डिमांड समथिंग, वो आ जाता है. एंड दैट्स सॉरी, दैट्स हाउ इट इज, बट दैट्स हाउ द फैक्ट इज, बट डिमांड से हो जाता है. सो व्हेन यू हैव अ प्रॉपर डॉक्यूमेंटेशन सिस्टम, okay, the system itself creates a demand on the work ethics and whatever is happening at the site. And everyone knows that discipline is something which has to be there at the site in their work. Then nodal accountability. जब भी कोई चीज गलत हो जाती है या स्लो हो जाती है या कुछ तो डेविएशन हो जाता है, समथिंग जस्ट ऑफ द कोर्स, if you have proper documentation, you are in a position to find out who's accountable for that. Okay, not just to blame him, okay, but to perhaps to find a proper solution or to the problem. Then a good documentation transforms into a permanent record even after completion. So just imagine you are doing a 36 months project and your PMC gives you a month. I mean, in addition to one site visit. Just imagine this: 36 months into say 4 महीने में 4 weeks होते हैं, तो 36 into 4, that many site visits, 36 minutes of meeting, and 36 each monthly report, exhaustive report. Just imagine what kind of documentation you will have. कई बार ऐसा हो जाता है कि प्रोजेक्ट कंप्लीट हो जाने के बाद द मैनेजिंग कमिटी बोलती है हमको अभी नहीं रहना है, बहुत तंग हो गए हम लोग. बट एंड द न्यू कमिटी विल कम एंड दे स्टार्ट आस्किंग क्वेश्चन, ये आपने क्यों नहीं किया, ये ऐसा क्यों नहीं किया, ये ऐसा क्यों नहीं हुआ, और ये ऐसा क्यों हुआ. ऑल दिस थिंग्स, वेयर इज द रिकॉर्ड, मतलब आपको कैसे बोल सकते हैं ये हुआ है. सो इट इज at that time that you can only show them all this exhaustive documentation. भैया ये पढ़ो, then you will understand, because it's easy to come and criticize after 36 months and ask questions like this कि ये क्यों नहीं हुआ, वो क्यों नहीं हुआ. So all these situations through which the project has gone, okay, so this documentation can help you, and it can be useful in avoiding or resolving disputes. करेक्ट. जैसे आपकी डिस्प्यूट बनते जाती है, through this better understanding, you will be in a position to resolve the dispute. And God forbid, इतना होने के बाद भी अगर आपका प्रोजेक्ट litigation में गया and you are fighting in court with a developer, and your PMC has given you so much of documentation, you believe me, you'll be in a very, very, I would say, comfortable position with so much solid evidence in your support. Okay, so these are some of the reasons why we need a good documentation. Now I explain to you how we collect data on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis, and how we compile that, how we use it, and how we prepare reports using that. So the first, daily data capture. Site पे हर चीज है, अपना engineer site पे है. He has got certain forms and he's looking for, he's been trained to capture data. उसको क्या क्या data वहां से site पे लेना है. He's been trained and he has got the checklist and he is, I would say, क्या बोलते हैं इसका? He is having a structured approach. तो उसको क्या, what are the events that could happen on a day? Not every day, but on a day. Number one, so he keeps track of which are the working drawings which are received. The drawings will be architectural, structural, MEP, service drawings. मतलब कि सोमवार को particular तारीख को, ये architectural drawing आया. Then on Wednesday we got 2 structural drawings. Now, whether the drawings are actual working drawings or they are only sketches, they are only advanced copies. Working drawings means those detailed drawings using which actual construction can be done. Okay, and they should be good for construction drawing, signed by the respective consultant. Okay, so this is the first thing, the drawings. Which are the drawings which have been received on that day? Which are the documents which have been received? Let's say maybe certification. A structural engineer came, he checked the 4th slab and he certified that, okay, this slab is good, now you can pour concrete. ऐसा कुछ हुआ है क्या? या दूसरा कोई रिपोर्ट आया, let's say cube test report has come on particular day. Okay, which cubes were tested? What do the results say? Any instructions which has come from some modification is to be done, say in say the center line of a particular फाइल कैप. ओके, तो उसका कुछ इंस्ट्रक्शन आया क्या, कोई लेटर आया क्या, कोई कॉरेस्पॉन्डेंस आया, कोई ईमेल आया क्या? सो which are the documents or which is the communication received? Then material and cube testing का report, which samples have been were sent, which reports have been received. Progress of work, activity wise and location wise. आज क्या, कहाँ पे कौन सा काम हो गया, कौन सी एक्टिविटी हो गई, कौन से लोकेशन पे हो गई. सपोज देयर आर 3 बिल्डिंग्स. फर्स्ट बिल्डिंग में 6th फ्लोर पे क्या हुआ, वट एवर, so what is the kind of progress, what is the progress of work on that day? Now remember, it is not necessary that each of these activity will happen every day, but as and when it happens, our engineer will capture the data and record it, and eventually that record will go into our management information system, wherein it stays in the electronic form. And जब भी आपको किसी भी चीज के लिए, मतलब if you want to really visit the past data and dig some kind of information by running a query on a database, okay, so that can be useful. Now, any particular milestone, activity and milestone, they are 2 different things. Activities, there are hundreds of activities. Or I would say, yes, hundreds of activities, literally sometimes 200, 300 activities, even for a modest size project. But milestones can be very few. So a particular milestones are used to track the project at a bigger level. So which milestone has been achieved, if at all, on that day. New decisions, new approvals coming from society. Okay, for example, let's say there are bathroom fittings. The samples have been lying there since last 2 weeks. Now society is supposed to select the samples and sign up their approval कि भाई ये हमने approve किया तो आप ये लगाइए. So is such a decision required? Is it pending? What kind of approvals are required? Now, critical points, deviation. Okay, deviation मतलब something was actually, इस तरह से होना था, but because of some reason, okay, there is a certain deviation. For example, a particular material which was specified, a particular brand was specified in the development agreement, but that brand is not available now. You want to switch out to a different. So technically, there is a deviation as from the contractual matter. ऐसा कुछ deviation society ने agree किया है क्या? So that critical point will also have to be captured there. Hindrance, let's say imagine it pours, मतलब इतना rain हो गया, बहुत, let's say there is heavy rain for say 6 days और कुछ काम नहीं हुआ. Okay, then the contractor or the developer has lost 6 days because of the rain which became a hindrance. So there's always there's a deviation register, there is a hindrance register, or we can store the data electronically. Then if there's an accident, okay, then the accident also becomes a record which is to be captured. Then consultants visits, मतलब कोई architect कब आया था? Let's say on a particular date of when architect came to check a particular slab, or say an MEP consultant came to check the electrical points. Okay, so for what he came and what is the report which he wrote. So that also should be a part of the documentation, which is, or say the data which is captured on a day-to-day basis, and site instructions if at all anything is. Now all this data, as I said, all these 9-10 things may not happen every day. Like say drawings may come one day, next week एक भी drawing नया आया ही नहीं. That's possible because you already got drawings and the work is going on. So not necessarily that everything happens every day, but these are the things, sum total of mostly the major things which happen at the site, and as and when they happen, your site engineer should be able to capture the data and store it in an electronic manner. Now coming to the tracking part. Okay. Now there's no point in just having a data. We have to relate the data to the work which is happening at the site and at the same time to the contractual document. So what we do next is that using the data, okay, which is being captured every day, okay, we relate that data to the work which is going on at the site. So data already is there by itself. Now we are talking about analyzing the data, okay, and connecting it with the progress at the site and the quality at the site and things like that. Now, how do you do that? There is a project coordinator who makes a visit to the site jointly with the developer site in charge. And there what they do, data is already collected day to day. Now what they also do that based on the data, they try to, our project coordinator, he will try to see sub permits hai kya. For example, CC agar CC is up to only say fifth floor, and we are now casting the fifth floor slab, then we have to really, bring it. All of us we have to discuss कि अगर दूसरा next CC अगर ऊपर का आता नहीं है, we will not be able to continue with the construction. So this realization has to set in as early as possible. Whether permits are there, drawings है क्या आगे के काम के लिए, whether there are materials available at site, whether there is sufficient manpower of the type which is required, equipment, like for example, suppose we need a tower crane at a particular stage in a project. So when is it that tower crane is required? अगर वो टावर क्रेन करना है तो उसके लिए उसको जहां खड़ा करना है वहां किस टाइप का फाउंडेशन लगेगा? व्हाट विल बी द आइडियल लोकेशन ऑफ द टावर क्रेन? नाउ ऑल दीज थिंग्स हैव टू बी थॉट ऑफ, and they are not just based on the data. There has to be a good insight of your project coordinator into how such a project should actually be conducted. So these are the inputs which has to be discussed between the developer site in charge and our project coordinator, and especially, as I said, related to the construction part. We are still not not much we are talking about here in this joint visit about the contractual aspect. Then the progress, activity-wise progress, work-wise progress, milestone-wise based progress. You know, here what will happen is that भैया ये milestone achieve होना था, नहीं हुआ है. अभी कितने दिन बाकी है, कब होगा? So we are using the data which was collected by our site engineer, but we are trying to use it in a futuristic manner also. What happened last week, what is supposed to happen this week, and what is supposed to happen in the next week. So quality, material, workmanship, testing, certifications. मटेरियल मतलब क्वालिटी मटेरियल का कोई है, कुछ टेस्टिंग की बात होगी, कोई क्यों फेल हुए होंगे, तो उसके लिए ऊपर क्या करना है. So decisions, okay, which happen in the site visits. Defects and rectification. Suppose certain defects have been identified, right? Have they been rectified? Suppose they were identified in last visit. Have they been rectified? If not, why they have not been rectified? And what is the developer site in charge? And what has he got to say about that? And again, decisions, approval required or pending. कभी-कभी ऐसा हो जाता है कि simple decisions from society वो बहुत दिन तक आते नहीं है. Like just imagine विंडो का सैंपल लगा दिया स्लाइडिंग विंडो, बट उसका अप्रूवल होना चाहिए ना. सोसाइटी हैज टू अप्रूव कि ठीक है भाई, ये अभी विंडो इस पर्टिकुलर इस शेड के ये सब दो तीन ऑप्शंस. कभी कभी पेंटिंग में तो बहुत हो जाता है, अलग अलग शेड्स लगाए जाते हैं, but unless a decision is given by the society, the work cannot go on. So developer cannot work. So whether there are some decisions pending from the society and updation of the whether the project coordinator also has to see whether our site engineer is updating all the date, all the record, and whether the latest record is already there with us. And safety aspects. Now there is a demo which I said I'll take this demo later. Now coming to the monthly review. Now here we are, in addition to data, in addition to the, I would say, the site visits, which has to do a lot with construction, we are now looking into the project as a whole and its contractual aspects. So for that, what we do is that we organize, okay, or we schedule a monthly project review meeting at the site, wherein we invite the senior people from developers, senior people from society, I mean the managing committee, and senior people from us. I mean, I will say about the project coordinator from the PMC, mostly the director or the general manager. Okay, so the idea is that the people who are doing the project construction, which is they are doing the construction, they should also be there, as well as the people who are responsible for the entire contract, they should be there. The time frame has to be seen in proper perspective. The whole quality issues have to be seen in proper perspective. And we have to review the project month after month. Okay, so we have already identified, if you see the last webinar, we have already identified the teams: developers, office team, site office, site team, office team, PMC site team, PMC office team. Like, so this is the meeting wherein the office teams also come into picture, and a stock is taken of the entire project. Okay, so same points, but then at a higher level. Inputs required and delayed. क्या क्या inputs जाना चाहिए, वो क्यों डिले हो रहे हैं, अगर मिले नहीं तो. जस्ट इमेजिन वो डेवलपर ने एक शो फ्लैट या सैंपल फ्लैट बना के रखा है और आपने उसको अप्रूव ही नहीं किया, तो अगर अप्रूव नहीं किया तो आगे का काम नहीं हो पाएगा. सो प्रोग्रेस, हाउ मच वर्क हैज बीन कंप्लीटेड as compared with the developer's initial project schedule, not local. I'm talking about the total thing. What are the activities which are completed? What are the activities which are in progress? Delay कहाँ है और वो delay किस कारण से हुआ है? What can be done about that? Then the quality issues. material workmanship, defect certification. Again, you might say this is repetition. Yes, repetition. लेकिन ये कैसा है? Those points which some of them repetition कैसे है? In principle, there is a repetition. But what we look at in this meeting is those points which have not been addressed despite bringing them to the notice of the developer in the site visits. तो उसको मीटिंग में लेके वी हैव टू इम्प्रेस अपॉन द डेवलपर, भैया आपको ये करना पड़ेगा या आपने डिफेक्ट रेक्टिफाई नहीं किया. सो दिस इज टेकन, द डिसीजंस आर टेकन एट अ हायर लेवल. द अकाउंटेबिलिटी गोज वन स्टेप अबव. हम जिसको बोलते हैं ना, व्हाट वी इज कॉल्ड एज रेजिंग द इशू टू द नेक्स्ट लेवल. देन द कॉन्ट्रैक्चुअल एस्पेक्ट्स, अगर डिविएशंस है, डिफॉल्ट्स है, deficiency in performance from the developer. So all those points which are actually seen as the project progresses, they will be discussed in this meeting. Safety के lapses कुछ है थे, decisions on pending issues, decisions on correspondence. Okay, अगर कोई contractual correspondence हुआ होगा, so that will also be taken for discussion here. Demo हम लोग देख लेंगे बाद में. So now I told you that when we are documenting, reviewing, and tracking the project, there are two things which we are concerned about: quality assurance and progress tracking. कैसे करते हैं हम उसको देखते हैं. So let's see the quality part. See, the title of this slide set is quality process. Quality, a lot of people, they say, अच्छा भैया अच्छा मटेरियल वापरना तो अच्छा क्वालिटी आ जाए. नहीं, see, अच्छा मटेरियल is also a very subjective thing. Anybody will think हमने तो अच्छा ही मटेरियल यूज किया. Okay, so where are the specifications? What is a good quality material? And only using good quality material will it give us a quality? So the answer is no. For us as PMC at Technoesis, quality is a process. You get quality through 9 steps. Okay. First is that in the tender or development agreement itself, the work specifications and approved plans should be specified. अगर आपने वहां ही specify नहीं किया आपको क्या चाहिए, तो आगे चल के आपको कैसे मालूम पड़ेगा what you wanted and what you got. Okay. So the specifications have to be there right from there. So quality demand starts with the tender document and thereafter with the provisions in the development agreement. Second point is आपके मतलब डेवलपर के कंसल्टेंट जो है उनके ड्राइंग्स एंड स्पेसिफिकेशंस, उनके ड्राइंग्स और उनके स्पेसिफिकेशन. Those drawings have to be really neat. They have to be detailed drawing. They have to be good working drawings which are good for construction. जो मतलब ऐसा है कि ड्राइंग से वो कॉन्ट्रैक्टर को समझना चाहिए कि एग्जैक्टली क्या काम करना है. ओके, मतलब if the drawings are not clear, then you may have good specifications, but they are not reflected in the drawing. So there is a possibility of things going wrong. So the drawings have to be in detail. Lot of things have to be thought about before the drawings are released. A good coordination has to happen between the architect, structural consultant, and the services consultant. Okay. So whether there are insert plates required, whether there are holes required, whether there are some temporary structures required, whether sometimes, you know what, you may be, for example, if you are planning a building with 2 or 3 basements, okay, then the enabling structure, enabling meaning जो स्ट्रक्चर हमको रखना नहीं है, लेकिन वो 3 बेसमेंट बनाने के लिए कुछ ऐसा स्ट्रक्चर टेम्पररीली बनाना पड़ेगा, which itself can be complex. Just imagine three basements. So when we talk about 3 basements, naturally there's a concern about the stability of the soil. Okay, there may be a tall building standing in the next plot, adjoining plot. So how to do it very safely? So कभी-कभी ऐसा हो जाता है, this is we have experienced it first time, कि you need to create an enabling structure जो बिल्डिंग बनने के बाद उसका कोई काम नहीं है, लेकिन वो बिल्डिंग बनाने के लिए when you are going down, okay, you have to, sometimes such a structure is called reverse retaining wall. Okay, so all these things have to be thought about पहले से. But who has to think about it? The consultant, and he has to give all such details in the drawings. Now comes the material. मटेरियल का ब्रांड वगैरह तो बता ही दिया है, बट ब्रांड से केवल मटेरियल नहीं होता है. लाइक से फॉर एग्जांपल आरएनसी आपने बता दिया एक पर्टिकुलर इसका, बट द रेडी मिक्स कंक्रीट हैज टू रीच द साइट विद इन अ सर्टेन पीरियड फ्रॉम इट्स मैन्युफैक्चर. ओके, तो मटेरियल, द गुड क्वालिटी मटेरियल डजंट नेसेसरली मीन दैट ओके अच्छा ब्रांड है. द मटेरियल आल्सो हैज टू बी good, and I mean, let me give an example. There are some construction chemicals which are used. Now, those construction chemicals, some of them are useful only within, say, half an hour of their mixing life. उसको आप 1 घंटा उधर बढ़ा के रखो. You have used good quality material, but the process में उसका कोई फायदा नहीं. There is a material which is a chemical which is called bond coat, which is to be used. I mean, the next step of construction has to start within, say, half an hour, or say maybe 45 minutes after application of the bond, depending on the manufacturer's specification. But if it doesn't start, तो मटेरियल आपने अच्छा मटेरियल लगाया, एक्सपेंसिव मटेरियल डाला, कुछ पता नहीं फायदा नहीं उसका. टेस्टिंग एंड ओनली मटेरियल खाली ऐसे लेके मतलब अच्छे से फायदा नहीं, उसका टेस्टिंग में होना चाहिए. यू माइट हैव ऑर्डर गुड क्वालिटी मटेरियल, गुड क्वालिटी कंक्रीट, ओके, बट from a good quality plan, but the cubes also have to stand the test. I mean, cube testing में cubes should come out to be safe. So that's the third part. Fourth is workmanship. Your people who are working there, especially I'm talking about the skilled manpower, they have to really know the job. सबको मतलब ऐसा सुपरवाइजर सबको सिखा नहीं सकता है. You have to have the right kind of people to do the right kind of job. But ये होने के बावजूद उधर there has to be a proper supervision by the developers side team. So now we are going to supervision level. Then there has to be inspection and certification by consultants. Like a structural consultant coming and checking the RCC slab for every slab. सब मतलब अच्छा मटेरियल यूज होगा, सुपरविजन भी होगा, काम अच्छा हुआ है, बट वेदर दैट कंसल्टेंट वॉट एवर ही हैज स्पेसिफाइड कि ऐसा होना चाहिए वैसा हो रहा है कि नहीं. सो सर्टिफिकेशंस आर रिक्वायर्ड फ्रॉम हिम एज वेल. एंड इतना होने के बाद भी कभी कभी डिफेक्ट जो हो जाते हैं उसका टाइमली रेक्टिफिकेशन. देन सर्टन थिंग्स, सैंपल्स, मॉकअप्स. मॉकअप मतलब क्या? एक सैंपल का जो हम बनाते हैं, या सपोज एक वाटर प्रूफिंग का एक ये बनाते हैं. यू नो व्हाट वी डू बिफोर वी अंडरटेक द फुल वाटर प्रूफिंग, वी प्रिपेयर अ सैंपल layer waterproofing for one toilet, so that the person, I mean, then it becomes a sample, it becomes a mock-up, it becomes an example to be copied later on. And itne hone ke baad there has to be a quality audit from time to time from the developers quality agency. तो आप ये देखिए, it is so much of this is what a quality process is. Now let me take you to the progress tracking, which we have not developed so far. But in before vacating, you know, when we were doing, when I was having delivering that webinar, I must have told you that when you vacate that time, the developer is supposed to give you a project schedule, a detailed project schedule for the entire construction activity. Maybe 200 activities, maybe 300 activities, but detailed with dependencies. तो उसमें कैसे होना चाहिए? So that master project schedule becomes the baseline schedule, based on which we are going to track the project's progress of the project. Okay. Now the tracking has to be structure wise. Structure meaning, let's say there are 3 buildings in your project. So for every building, the tracking has to happen separately. Okay. Then within a structure, within a building, the tracking should be done activity-wise. I said that there could be 200, 300 activities. Okay, shuttering itself is an. Let's take the simple case of an RCC slab. उसमें क्या एक्टिविटी है? पहले तो कॉलम शटरिंग, या उससे भी पहले आप लेंगे ना तो स्टार्टर फ्रॉम द प्रीवियस स्लैब, दैट इज वन एक्टिविटी. देन कॉलम शटरिंग, column reinforcement, column casting, column de-shuttering, then the slab bottoms, beam sides, reinforcement. You see so many activities for one slab itself. Okay, so activity wise we can track the project, and the developer and the contractor has to understand that this kind of planning is not just good. I mean, it's not only that the PMC is asking, but it is something which can be useful for him to do his project in a time-bound manner. So for every activity in the schedule, there is a planned start, when it is supposed to start and when it is supposed to get over. Okay. As against that, when we track the progress, we say what is the actual start and what is the actual finish for that activity. Now, it's possible that some activities may slip in time, but that doesn't mean a slippage of activity doesn't necessarily mean delay in project. Okay, but it definitely gives you a warning that something needs to be done to bring the project back on track. Okay, so status of activity, once when for every activity, ये तो वो एक्टिविटी कंप्लीट हो गया है या तो इन प्रोग्रेस है या तो स्टार्ट ही नहीं हुआ, मीनिंग लेट्स से take one week window. Okay, for that window of that 1 week, how many activities were completed? Okay, जो भी कंप्लीट हो गए उनका एक्चुअल स्टार्ट एक्चुअल फिनिश आ गए. Okay, how many activities are in progress? Which, I mean, not just how many, which activities are in progress? And which are the activities which were supposed to start in this last 1 week or even before that, but which haven't started? Now we call them delayed activities. Okay, so now other way to look at tracking, a higher level method, which doesn't give you much control, but it gives you a good understanding of where the project is going, and which is normally an agenda point in the monthly project review meeting, is the milestones. You may have 200 milestones, but you may have only 20. You may have 200 activities, but you may have only 20 milestones. Now, which are the 20 milestones? Now, your individual activities may slip, but ideally the milestones should not slip. And if the milestone slips, then we talk about delay for that milestone. For activity, we don't talk delay, because there's a small activity, there's a possibility of getting the project back on track. Okay, but when you slip on milestones, it's something which is serious. So what is the status of the milestone, and how much has that milestone slipped, and what is the estimated delay it has caused for the project? Now that delay is also as on today. It's possible that if the contractor understands and suppose he did not have good amount of manpower, and if now he gets a lot of skilled manpower, it's possible that he will be able to reduce the delay over a period of time. So for which the reasons have to be understood. ये delay क्यों हुआ है? कि मटेरियल लेट आया इसलिए डिले हुआ है, कि बिकॉज ऑफ द मैन पावर विच वॉज नॉट देयर इसलिए डिले हुआ है, या बिकॉज अगर हम लोग यहाँ पे टॉवर क्रेन लगाते हैं तो हमारा स्पीड बढ़ेगा. So far we have not been able to get a tower crane. All that, such are the issues which can happen at the site. So this is the progress tracking. Now, so we have seen the documentation, we have seen review, we have seen tracking. Now, as I said, at Technoesis we have our internal system कि हम ये डेली डेटा कैप्चर करते ही हैं, हम वीकली प्रोजेक्ट साइट पे ये करके लाइक विजिट करके उसका रिपोर्ट बनाते हैं. Then every month we have the project review meeting, and we also give a very detailed project review report which becomes a permanent record every month. Okay. Now what is it? This what should go into this report? इसमें क्या क्या होना चाहिए? This report should give you a good picture about what happened at the site. Okay. ठीक है. And with a sort of little conclusion for the impression for the further course of action. So let's see what goes into our project review report. First is project summary about the approvals and things like that. I'm going to show you a report. So this is just a list. So let me rush to that. So status of drawing for that month. Okay. So this report is there for every month. For every month there is a different report. So status of drawings for that month. Quality report. What are the tests which were done? What are the test results? Whether a particular test has been accepted or rejected, or the results have been accepted or rejected. If rejected, what is the course of action? Progress review as compared with the project schedule. आज हम कहाँ पर हैं activity wise? List of site visits and project review meetings. What happened in the last 1 month? How many site visits happened? How many project review meetings happened? Then inputs and action required from the society as well as developer. सबको रिपोर्ट में ये भी बताना पड़ता है ना भैया आपसे ये पेंडिंग है. And remember, we may be the PMC for the society, but it is our responsibility to even bring it to the notice of our client, the society, कि आपसे आपके कारण ये रिजल्ट नहीं आया है इसलिए आपका ये प्रोजेक्ट रुक रहा है. Okay, because we have to see when the project happens, everyone benefits. So there's no point in shielding your the society as if your society अगर आपकी client है जरूरी नहीं अगर उनकी तरफ से भी कुछ decision नहीं आता है, then it can affect the project and it can affect everyone. Important decisions जैसे मैंने बोला आपका let's say sliding window, let's say the mock-up फ्लैट जो बना है जिसको शो फ्लैट बोलते हैं, जिसको सैंपल फ्लैट बोलते हैं, इसका अप्रूवल या दूसरा कोई डिसीजंस. Suppose the developer says, "Arey, I have tried, but this particular brand is not available. So this is what I am suggesting." So he suggests 2-3 alternatives. कुछ तो डिसीजन देना पड़ेगा ना कि अगर वो particular brand is not available, then the developer, he is asking for a decision. Communications, emails, letters, they have to be recorded, and critical remarks about the current status of the project. So this is a demo we will need for. I will have to show you a demo for this. Yeah, okay. So now let me show you a sample progress review. No, sorry, किधर है? Okay. So Word files. Okay. So now let's see a sample review report. We just saw that report, no? Slowly we'll see. This is a 16-page report which we give to our client, and what you are looking at is a real report. This is not fictitious. Only the name has been changed. ABC, there's no such thing as ABC Society. This is a real report. And the date is also may not, yeah, that is 2021 ka report hai ye. So I'll show you what goes into the report. Project summary, which I told you, plot area, number of flats, type of building, number of floors, फ्लैट्स कितने हैं, सेल फ्लैट कितने हैं, कार पार्क कितनी है, सेल कार पार्क कितनी है, करंट स्टेटस ऑफ अप्रूवल क्या है, फुल सीसी रिसीव्ड, लाइक दैट. ओके. ड्राइंग स्टेटस. So which drawings are received, which drawings are expected, like say approved plans, all drawings up to full CC are received. Architecture done received in this month. This month, huh? This is all about this month. Architecture none received. इसमें तो कोई नहीं आया था. But drawings and details required. Now we see approved plans, no drawing is required. But architecturally, we need for the site, we need so many plans, so many drawings. So this is identified in the report. These drawings are required, otherwise your progress will be affected. Structural drawings, these drawings are required. MEP drawings, तो हम देखिए MEP में कितनी drawings required है. So we specifically tell them ये drawing चाहिए. This kind of follow-up is required, then only the drawings will come in time. Okay. Then let's go to the quality report. Now see, raw material test reports. You can see here the okay, what you see here is raw material test report में जो अपने पास जो report है उसमें सलिया का टेस्टिंग है, reinforcement bars are being tested, JSW, neo steel, diameters given, physical and chemical analysis, testing date, where which testing lab, and what are the test results here. Now test reports are separate. That documentation is separate. What we are writing here is what is the result of the test. Now concrete cube test. Those of you who are technical, you know concrete का टेस्टिंग होता है 7 days पे होता है और 28 days पे होता है. ओके. तो क्यूब्स आर कास्ट, यू मस्ट हैव सीन देम. तो हम वी कीप अ record of, you see here, concrete grade कितना है M40, कहाँ से लिया, concrete टेक करके RNG सप्लायर है. Now where was that concrete used? Can you see? This is very important. This is very important. M40 concrete was used on first floor LW, lift wall, 456, first floor starter, LW. So you know exactly where that concrete was used. Why? Why is this important? Because if the cube fails, okay, then you know where the faulty concrete has gone and you can think about rectification. If you अगर आपने खाली क्यूब कास्ट करके रख दिया बस हो गया, ये कहाँ का क्यूब है टेस्ट करो, तो क्यूब अच्छा है नहीं इतना मालूम पड़ेगा, लेकिन वो क्यूब का कंक्रीट कहाँ गया है, that is a very important information. You can see here member and location, we always write this where it has gone. You can see here everywhere. Okay, ये हो गया कंक्रीट 7 days क्यूब का टेस्ट का. This is still 7 days. Yeah, and now we are going to, there's another record. This is for 1 month. Huh? What is happening? 28 days test results, something similar to that. Okay, and then about cubes remarks, etc., which are now progress review. We have seen quality report. Now let's see progress review. Now project period, date of letter to enter, project commencement date, stipulated completion period 36 months, stipulated date of completion 23/11/23, balance period kitna tha, you know, all that has been written at that month. Then approvals and permissions which are received. Now see what I told you about, you know, activities completed or in progress, okay, in that month. So you see task head, task कौन सा है, planned कब है, planned में मतलब when was it supposed to start, when was it supposed to get over, फिर ये actually start कब हुआ, और एक्चुअली फिनिश कब हो गया और करंट स्टेटस क्या है. This is done for each activity. You can see it here. Each activity up to that month. And you can also see here activities not yet started. मतलब कौन से? Those activities which were supposed to be started in this period. आगे आगे के जो नहीं स्टार्ट हो गए वो छोड़िए, लेकिन इस महीने में होने वाले थे या होने चाहिए थे, but they have not happened. So which are the activities? So planned and finish. Planned start and finish है. काम तो हुआ ही नहीं है because the activity has not started. So there is no actual start and actual finish because they have not started only. Now you can see some activities here कि यहाँ पे start हुआ है but finish नहीं है. Meaning they have just started but still in progress लिखा है यहाँ पर. Some completed activities where you can see the activity is completed. So much. Then which are the progressive meetings and PMC site visits? उसका date कब हुआ क्या है? Now meeting का minutes of meeting is a separate record. Then the PMC site visits का site visit report is a separate record. This is on the monthly report only makes a mention कि ये इतनी मीटिंग हो गई, इतने रिपोर्ट हो गए. डिटेल देखना है तो मिनट्स ऑफ मीटिंग देखो या साइट विजिट रिपोर्ट देखो. डेवलपर्स के भी हम लोग रिपोर्ट लेते हैं, वीकली रिपोर्ट्स, so there is a mention of that also. And input and action required or to be provided. Developers say what is required from developer. Then from society, what are the decisions required? And then important decisions and discussions. क्या क्या decisions हो गए? Communication क्या क्या हो गए? कौन सा email? Who wrote an email to whom? All this data we capture. Communication received, meaning emails received. Okay. Reports can be more complex also, no? So what I am showing you is only a 16-page report. Sometimes the reports can be, see, as and when the materials get approved, आपने आपने टाइल्स अप्रूव कर दी, आपने दरवाजे अप्रूव कर दे, आपने लाइट फिटिंग अप्रूव कर दी सोसाइटी में, ऑल दैट थिंग व्हेन एज एंड व्हेन थिंग्स गेट अप्रूव्ड, so there is a approved list एक नीचे आ जाता है, which can also be a very long thing. Why we want the approved list to be there? So that everyone knows exactly वहाँ क्या लगाना है. ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि भाई हमने तो ये टाइल अप्रूव किया, आपने ये कैसे लगाया. So approval हुआ है तो that will be mentioned in the report. And then finally the critical remarks if there is a delay and everything, all this. So what you have just seen is a current time. Okay. Then let me see what this is. Yes, sample minutes of meeting. हमने देखा ना कि every month we'll have a monthly meeting. So there is a representation from society, there is a representation from PMC and developer. Names are of course हमारे नाम जो है उतने छोड़ के बाकी सब fictitious नाम है. So meeting number and all this is actual minutes of meeting. Huh? I'm not showing you some fabricated thing. So you see in minutes of meeting what do? We take the progress of work. किसका क्या क्या हुआ है that this is. देखो ये भी लिखा है इलेक्ट्रिक झरी और पाइप कंडक्टिंग एट फोर्थ फ्लोर इज इन प्रोग्रेस. ग्राउटिंग ऑफ टायर और होल, इतना सब छोटा छोटा हम लिखते हैं. देन डेवलपर हैज इन्फॉर्म्ड इन विजिट दैट Dado tiles for wash basin shall be provided up to second floor. Yes, up. So certain decisions are taken in this meeting. Can you see this? This is all real meeting going up to say something like 14, 15, 16, 15 pages, 15 points. And again, as I said, these minutes go and sit in our management MIS. So ये हो गया आपका minutes of meeting. And I hope there is one. Yes, this is sample site visit report, which I told you every week what we do. Okay. So Power on. So now we are almost at the end of this webinar. Since there is some 5-10 minutes, I would like to show you. Um, I would like to show you a project tracker, the project tracker system which we use in our. देखिए होगा. हाँ. So now, what is a project tracker system? It is, what we do, the concept goes like this. When people vacate their flats and they go and stay in rental flats anywhere, okay, some in India, some abroad, anywhere, okay. So from wherever they are, well, the kind of tracking, review, documentation system which you are just seeing is from the PMC's perspective, okay. From the PMC's perspective, meaning what? We have shown you something which is of professional value. Now, what about those people? Those simple, uh, I would say, um, members of the society. Yeah, members of the society, where who would like to have some idea about how their project is going. So for them, we at Technoesis, we provide them what we call as a project tracker, which is what they can do is that we give them a user ID and password for that society, and any member of that society can visit our website anytime from anywhere, log in with his user ID and password, and he will get to see the progress or some status report. Or he will be able to track the progress month after month. So he can see it, he can visit anytime, but the tracker is updated once every month. Now, what is it that we show, okay, to the members? Since the people who are watching, many of them are simple, they are not PMCs, they are ordinary members of the society. So I would like to show to you now what you see here is that this is our website. I'll just go on the site. Now this is our website www. This is our corporate website www.technoesis.co.in. Now here, of course you can see this um, even after the webinar is over anytime, because we have kept there a demo, project tracker demo. Okay. So you go to our website, that is, you just type in www.technoesis.co.in, and this is our home page. When you come here, you can see here username guest dialog, GU capital. GUEST. It is written there. You don't have to remember. You see username is guest and password is also guest. Okay. And then you say login. This is demo, remember. If you are our client and if you are using our project tracker service, then what we would do is that we would give you your own user ID and password. What you are now looking at is the demo version, but a full scale demo version. Yeah. Oh, okay. Slow and steady. So what you see here is that it says redevelopment of ABC Cooperative Housing Society Limited. Obviously, ABC is a fictitious name. And what you see here is first the brief information, the summary kind of this information, and then it's still loading. So what we, yeah, you see some photographs here. current photographs for that month. Now this is updated once every month, not every day. Okay. Whereas our professional work, updating the data and everything, that happens every day. But when we want to distribute the information as what we call as transparency to your members, this updation is done once every month. And what you can see here, you are able to see here the current photographs. If I click on that, then I'll be able to see that photograph which is bigger. Okay, this is second photograph. You can go on like like this. Okay. In addition to that, what you see here is that you see these 6 links here. Okay, plans, milestones, review report, minutes of meeting, 3D views, and wing-wise status. Meaning if there are 3 projects, 3 wings, then 3 wings-wise status. So whatever you want to see here, the review report I just showed you. So if I click on that, similar report will open. Okay, minutes of meeting also I showed you. Milestones I have not shown you, so let me show you the milestones. Now you can see the very minute things. There are, I think, 28 milestones which you have identified for A wing, B wing, C wing, and independent. Actually, there are 4 structures: A, B, C wing, and independent parking structure. And you can see here there are milestones: excavation, base PCC, plane, first slab, like that. External plaster. All these are the milestones, and planned date, actual date to achieve that milestone. Okay. तो ये तो planned और actual date, planned date, actual date, achieved, मतलब इसमें start date ऐसा नहीं है. When was that milestone achieved? तो ये milestone अब तक achieve नहीं हुआ है. You can see here number 3. इसलिए वो नहीं है. But like that. So you can, you as a member can understand which milestones have been achieved. Now where? Okay. Then wing-wise status if you want to see. Okay. See here, wing A. Okay. Current progress 28 to 2023. Sample है ये, but a real project. So much of work has been completed. Works completed, you can see here. Okay. Works completed. Works in progress for wing A. Works completed. Works in progress. When completed, and all that is there in our professional report. Wing C, works completed. Work in progress. So that, and if you want to see the 3D views, जैसे हम लोग क्या करते हैं कि हमारे प्रोजेक्ट के प्लान्स भी इसमें डाल देते हैं. So it's like when you have a mobile in your pocket, you also have your plans in your pocket for your project. I'll show you the plans. Samples, huh? See. Okay. So, and if you want to see the 3D view, suppose you go and meet your friend and then that friend asks you कि भाई आपका बिल्डिंग कैसे दिखने वाला है. So you don't have to say घर में रह गया प्लान और मेरे पास प्लान नहीं है. There's a website, you can log in here and you can show these are the 3D views अगर हमने रखा है. So the point is that we have 6 links here and all this is available on our website as a project tracker system. I think I have finished this is project. So thank you very much.